27th. And roll call of officers,
Christian Roman Ramirez, Vice Chairman.
Charles Serene, clerk.
James LaQueer, chair. All right, we're gonna change the agenda briefly. Any additions or deletions? I have none. Nobody has none? Okay, the tobacco regulation lady is going to be running a little late, so we're gonna go with Rick Medcalf. Rick, tell us what's going on.
So this is for the septic permit for 20 Coppersmith Way.
Yes.
So you guys should have a copy of the plan right there. This is right next to the one that we had looked at. I think it was at the last meeting, 18 Coppersmith Way. So they also had those Coltech chambers that have failed. And so they're looking to upgrade the system. What they're proposing is basically to dig out those chambers and put in pipe and stone trenches. If you remember the conversation we had about the last one in Coppersmith Way, this was done under a comprehensive 40B permit. And so they had certain exemptions to local regulations because of the 40B piece. And so it was a 1,500 gallon tank, that single compartment tank that had gone in. So they're proposing to upgrade it a little bit, but similar to the last one, they're looking to keep that 1,500 gallon septic tank. So they're going to put a riser on the septic tank outlet with a filter underneath that, and then keep the existing sewer line to a new D box, and then 3 leaching trenches. It'll all be gravity. And there should be a sheet there that has the variances that they're requesting. We had dealt with the other one a little bit differently because of that comprehensive permit that was on file. But they listed everything out here. So they are looking for a 1 foot reduction in the groundwater offset from the bottom of the trenches from 5 feet to 4 feet. They're looking for a reduction in the offset to the wetlands from 100 feet to 88 feet. And they are looking to keep the single compartment 1,500 gallon septic tank.
Are you agreeable to the 1,500 gallon septic tank?
So, that's how we've been treating these ones, because when they had gone in under that comprehensive permit, they weren't required to meet any of the Townsend regulations. So they're basically exempt from the local requirements. And so there's been, I believe this would be the 3rd failure in the neighborhood, and the previous 2 had both been able to keep that 1,500 gallon septic tank, again, because of that original approval. Okay.
And you're good with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so the original system was put in and signed off in 2008. It's not old, so as part of the permit, somebody's going to have to certify to its structural integrity and size and water tightness. But like I said, that's how we dealt with the other ones, and it's not up to Townsend's requirements, but because of that 40B, they had those previous exemptions.
Okay, now how many more houses are in that actual subdivision?
There's got to be over 30. I would guess somewhere around 35, but I don't know the exact number, because there's 3 phases that it was built in. So it was Coppersmith Way, which is the main road that comes off Highland. And then there was, what were they? They were all kind of Superman names. So Lois Lane was one of them. And then I forget the name of the other one, but there was a 3rd street with maybe about 5 houses on it. So I want to say somewhere in the range of 35 houses or so.
So we can sit here as the Board of Health and anticipate all those systems are going to fail.
I would expect that. Yeah, we've kind of seen the start of it here with the 3 systems. So I don't know what the circumstances are on this one. I think they're just having issues, but they're not looking to sell. I may be wrong on that, but the previous 2 were a result of Title V inspections that found failure. This one, I believe, was just they are having issues with the system, and so they required replacement. If I remember right. But I would expect that they're all going to be coming up here in the next 10 or so years.
So we made some bad decisions back then, didn't we?
Well, you didn't really have a choice because when you apply for a comprehensive permit under 40B, it's kind of one of the things that they're given is relief from local requirements, and that's why you see a lot of houses in small area, so higher density, because they're not required to meet the same zoning and board of health requirements, et cetera, et cetera. They just get waivers to local requirements.
You're John, right?
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
course.
we had to step ahead of you a little bit till we get squared
Yeah,
away.
that's okay.
But we didn't get the outcome we expected, so it's gonna be
Yeah.
simple. Okay, Rick, I got a question for you.
Yep.
When we move forward on all these upgrades on these systems, do you think we should institute the dual tank system to make sure that they're gonna get much longer longevity?
So we could recommend it, but at least the initial conversations I had was that because of the comprehensive permit that this neighborhood was approved under, that those exemptions would continue. But we could set a time with Adam to talk about that, just so we could deal with it in the future and be ready to deal with it. So we could get on a schedule for the the times when he comes and we can meet with him for 10 or 20 minutes or whatever it is.
Okay, because you and I realize that this is gonna be an ongoing scenario with all these systems failing. And if these people are gonna put the money in to upgrade the system, I really feel that they should have to go with our rig with a 15 and 1,000 gallon and/or single whatever dual compartment, so they can get the longevity out of the new system they are installing,
Sure.
okay?
Let's give the.
All right, now would you run through those, requests again, and I'm gonna have somebody make a motion.
Yep. So the first one is 1 foot groundwater reduction from 5 feet to 4 feet. The other is a reduction in the offset to wetlands from 100 feet to 88 feet. And the last is the use of a single 1,500 gallon tank instead of the tanks in series. And I believe they were on a sheet from GPR that was included with the plan.
Okay, I think I had that here somewhere, I saw that. Kyle is not here, so I get a bit, yeah, GPR, okay, I get it right here, all right. Very good, somebody wanna make a motion to approve those variances?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, make a motion to approve, somebody wanna second that?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye,
Aye.
okay, it's been approved, Rick.
And then I didn't have a permit when I gave that to Carla, so I do have it typed up. So as long as you're okay with me signing that, I will do that for you.
We shouldn't have a problem with that, you're all set,
You're
Rick.
set.
You're all set.
Okay.
Okay, what else
All right.
have you got?
That was all that I had on the agenda, but I'm gonna hang out just to listen to the tobacco hearing.
Okay, I don't know, okay, we'll do that, all right. You can sign that permit, I'll fold this up and give it back to Carla when we're good to go, okay.
We'll take a look.
I'm used to giving all this stuff to college.
Yeah.
All right, let's carry on with, we're gonna step back to tobacco regs now. So we expected we have a couple of people that were having doubts about our regs to appear this evening. They're not, but we should still conduct ourselves so the people that are watching can hear what this is all about.
Okay, so you would open the hearing, make a motion to
Yeah,
open the
you gotta
hearing?
make a motion to reopen the hearing.
I open the motion to reopen the hearing for the tobacco regulations here in town.
Seconded, Paul?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
So I'm Joan Hamlet, your tobacco control agent, stating it for the record. And I just wanted to just give a quick summary of what happened at the last hearing. A retailer came in and he signed in, and the retailer concern was, that if the pouches, an optional thing that you can, that we're looking at in this draft for the board to decide after the hearing, is oral nicotine pouches restricted to adult-only stores. His concern was, if you have a retiring cap, can you, that means nobody can sell pouches, because if you have a retiring cap, no new adult store can open. That is something the board has to consider before they make, that is accurate. That is something the board would consider before. Another retailer had contacted us about, you guys have had a retiring cap, I wanna say for 10 years now. Carla, I'm not 100% sure, but you've had a retiring cap for many years now. And your permits, when I first started working with you, were at, and it's a density strategy, to reduce youth access, and your permits were at 12 and we're down to 6 because of the retiring cap. So there's been a reduction in density, retail density of almost 50%, well, of 50% since I started working with you, just by using that cap. What had happened is we had a gentleman who owned a store. He went out of business, closed his business, and now a couple of years later, he would like to reopen his business because he still owns the building and nobody's using it. Whatever reasons are, he would like to reopen his business, and he thought he could just grab back that permit. But permits are transferable within 6 months if a business is selling their active business. So once he went out of business and the 6 months expired, it got retired. So he was upset, saying, hey, why don't you go back to a straight cap instead of a retiring cap? Those were his concerns. One of the other retailers that was here that did sign in, he was concerned about, there's a new initiative, and many boards have passed this, that if you have no permit renewal for 1 whole year, if the previous 12-month permit year, you've had 3 sales to a minor. Sales to the minor is probably one of the most egregious violations you can have in tobacco control. Your current reg tolls back however many violations you have in a 3-year period. And when you get to your 4th violation, they come before the board, and the board has an option to revocate. Now, revocate is different than not renew. Not renew means we don't renew it and you can come back and renew it after the year. Revocation means you lose it. So I was a little confused when he was talking about that, and we were talking about it at the hearing. And the confusion was, he didn't realize it was 3 sales in a year. He was reading it if you just have 3 sales in your history. But you know, that's something that the board would take a look at. Everything in this draft, you already have in your current reg, and we've been enforcing it. Everything in black and white is state law or already in your reg. We were only looking at this, at you, asking you, what would you like to add anything that is yellow that you don't have? So those are no permit renewal for 3 sales to a person under 21 in a 12-month permitting period, which is very egregious. I don't think we'll ever see that happen, knock on wood, because we've worked so hard with the retailers and we provide a lot of education and we've really worked hard. So I don't think that would happen. A restriction on no smoking bars in the town. You don't have any. Now's a good time to implement that. We do have a smoking regulation that talks about no smoking on public property in your public parks, things like that. But this is specific to no smoking bars, no hookah bars, no cigar bars, no bars that open up with an alcohol license, and we have to determine if 51% of their profit is alcohol, because it's supposed to be 51% of their profit. Smoking materials are very difficult. Smoking bars are very difficult to approve. We don't have any. We haven't had any all these years. It's something to implement to prevent them from happening, and we think it would be a positive thing for Townsend. That's up to you to decide when you're at final review. The other one is a structured fining system. Some boards have moved toward everything in our regulation is $1,000 to a $5,000 fine. Other boards are keeping their local components, and your local components are no retailer selling 500 feet from a school, no retailer selling 500 feet from another retailer, no blunt wraps, and cigar pricing. We would like to keep those at 100, 200, 300, because you have 3, 7, and 30-day permit suspensions, so there's no need to raise the fines because those permit suspensions cost the stores a lot of money. And we track that for you, and if the day ever comes that we're not around to track that for you, we have a really great system to easily track that. So we really don't want to raise fines when we may be taking away pouches, and you do have a very restrictive cap, so we're recommending keep it the way it is. Look, we can track that, but we are recommending instead of doing 100, 200, 300, for first, second, or third offense, it's 300. Most boards have gone to a straight 300 instead of 100, 200, 300. So for first, second, and third, it would be 300. That's what we're recommending. You can choose to keep it the way it is. You can take our recommendation at the time it comes time to vote on these, or you can say, no, we want to fine everybody 1,000 to 5,000 for everything. The state law allows you to do that. If you are fining 1,000 to 5,000, it's no longer under criminal disposition. So we take criminal disposition out of your reg. When you're fining 1,000 to 5,000, you're fining under, what happens is if they don't adhere to the fine and the hearing outcome, the filing, it's criminal filing. So, and then the tolling periods, the state level, you already have it. It shouldn't be highlighted. That's just an accident. You already have 36 months in your regs. So you're not looking at a lot of changes. The most significant change in this would be if you want to move forward with Oral-T nicotine pouches. And the purpose of looking at those is these are the snus pouches. They started out with snus. There were 3 milligrams of nicotine. Now there's 17 different brands of them popping up all over the place. There is no state regulation or local regulation on nicotine content. So the state says vape has to be 3 milliliters per vape pen, and in an adult store, it can be 5 milliliters. However, we're finding about vape pouches up to 16 milliliters per pouch. And colleagues of mine have found up to 30% per pouch because there's no regulation on how much nicotine can be in the pouch. And we are finding use of these, especially in sports, because in sports, you're playing baseball, you're doing other things, you can't really be vaping, but you can put that pouch in to give you your nicotine. And the purpose of the pouches were kind of initially to replace chewing and spitting tobacco. And then as smoke-free places evolved, smoke-free workplaces evolved, and no vaping or tobacco use of any kind, regardless of smoking pipe, pouches, or whatnot. This is an easy way to hide it. And still get that nicotine, but it is not a combustible, so we don't inhale it and exhale it out of the lungs. So it's a product. So there are pouches that don't have nicotine in them. That doesn't fall under this reg because if it's not a combustible smokable product, the definition of tobacco, it has to contain nicotine to be considered tobacco. Yep. So in Orange, Mass, everybody that's looking at the draft, the boards. I have several boards that are in hearing process like you. Orange, Mass is the first of my towns in our collaborative to pass it, and they have a September 1st implementation date. They passed it the first week of July with a September 1st implementation date. They wanted to give retailers a good 60 days to sell down their inventory. And they gave notice and held a public hearing and nobody came. So they went forward and passed it.
Okay.
So I just wanted to kind of summarize the issues that were brought up by a couple of retailers. There's 6 retailers. We don't really have a lot of retailers in Townsend, so.
We had a very good conversation. Can you highlight these 2 gentlemen and what we discussed about the popcorn one? Vaping?
So Jim has a lot of concerns about like why are we doing these, and vaping has created popcorn lung in young. They call it popcorn lung, and you can get popcorn lung from other things too, not just vaping, but diminished capacity, respiratory capacity it's in popcorn lung collapsing, holes in lungs. There's been a significant increase in many medical studies, which led to the state of Massachusetts in 2019 to consider vaping a state of emergency. That was under Governor Baker. That's where we got extra money. The flavors raised the age to 21, and then COVID happened. And since COVID happened, we have another governor and we have 2 different attorney generals, and they have all kept that state of emergency in place about the medical basis. So there's a lot of references in the state law to the studies that that why we call it, and there's even more stats of the health impact of vaping. The other thing is poison control lines have reported a significant increase, and in some cases, you know, it's being reported 300% to 400% in nicotine poisoning calls. And it doesn't necessarily mean all these came directly from the store, because people can get it online. There's black market, there's truck. We've caught stores selling not behind the counters, but out of the back of a truck or in an out of order ATM machine, or a lot of stores that we're keeping an eye on. They have a mechanism where they ring in bread and milk, and then they have an arrangement with somebody with an apartment above them or next to them, and that the person hands it over to a paper bag in the parking lot. So, you know, we're being made aware of all these different ways, and in some cases we've been able to catch it, some cases we can't. We only have so much enforcement funding. We're looking at, you know, cracking down on that on the enforcement end, but the black market is something that's a whole. So we're not saying every young person, the vaping industry in general, but we're not saying that they've all been obtained from retail stores, because they haven't. And a lot of kids have somebody who's 21, an older sibling, and some have parents that are like, at least my kid is only vaping and they're not doing drugs. So parents don't have the full level of the health impact that this could have on your kids.
Yeah.
Because if you take a look at smoking statistics, you usually are smoking a good 20 years before you diminish your lung capacity. And they're showing in very short time diminished lung capacity in medical studies of impact on young folks smoking, let alone the studies on smokers who might have smoked a pack a day are now actually vaping a lot more, because you can discreetly use the vape at workplaces. Because technically the smoke-free workplace law created harm reduction, and how they did that was, you're a smoker, you smoke a pack a day, you have no intention of quitting, but because you can't smoke where you work, you can't smoke in any public place, you can't smoke at the restaurant, in the store you're stopping at, you're actually reducing your smoking, because instead of smoking a pack a day, you're now smoking a half a pack, because of all, you have limited time during your with all these restrictions to smoke. So we saw a lot of reduction in taking away the flavors. We saw a lot of reduction in youth smoking, and now vaping in all age categories is going up, even though smoking has gone down. So kind of a whack-a-mole. We were really making strides, and now that nicotine use is just in a different vehicle.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and you know, there is a bunch of studies, they are referenced in the state law, they're referenced here, they're in footnotes. Your whereas, in the draft reg, we always have had historically a whereas. So in that whereas, there's a lot of footnotes, and you can see all in the bottom of the pages, it footnotes the studies. You know, really right now, there's nobody in the state of Massachusetts disputing, because it's a state of emergency. And even the state of emergency of COVID has been lifted, but the state of emergency of youth vaping is still in place. And we're hearing from our schools, and we're hearing from DOE that it's the number one time consuming disciplinary issue in the school. So there's all kinds of disciplinary issues, but catching kids with vaping and these types of products has been the number one disciplinary issue for our schools.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing, and yet the state can't even ban the sale of these vapes in.
Well, the state has not, but there's 9 communities in Massachusetts who have banned vape sales, and one of them is one of my communities, Blackstone. So Blackstone banned vape sales in 2019. Bellingham, Brookline, I don't want to say the wrong ones, I know Bellingham, Brookline, and Blackstone. So when we first started with Blackstone in 2020, I'm like, wait a minute, you banned vape, what? And it's in the reg, and nobody contested that, and there's been no, you know, like, whatnot, because they do have 10 stores. So, and they do have a couple of chain stores. So it was like, wait a minute, how did that happen? And then since then, there was originally 3, and since then there's now 8 or 9. Somebody emailed me the list yesterday.
Have we banned them in Townsend yet? I thought we had.
You haven't, you know, we did not ban vape
We
products.
didn't ban the vape products. That's something we have to consider.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not in the draft, but if that's something you want me to look into, we can pause this draft and I can ask for the language.
Anybody want to make a suggestion on that?
Well,
You go back to another hearing though, because retailers have to be.
We're gonna
told.
do another hearing anyway.
Yeah. I don't think you need to do another hearing.
You think so?
No,
I don't think we're ready to vote on what we can.
no, you don't vote on it in the hearing. The hearing is just an opportunity for someone to
Okay,
give you
so.
public comment. So
when
you
we
close the hearing.
today, that can be
And then
done. Okay.
you take everything under consideration, and at your next meeting, I go, okay, retailers have been notified, did you get anything in writing, any emails, any comments? No, this is the hearing input, and then I go, okay, do you wanna update section 1? Yes, you vote yes or no, you wanna add it, do you want section 2, do you want these
Okay.
issues added, and you vote one by one that you want them added, and then I bring you a final draft to sign, the draft becomes the final, whatever you decide to pass. And you could say, we want 1, 5, and 15, but we don't want 14 and 8. So you would discuss each change individually to decide if you want it. Now, you do have a cap in there. You don't have to discuss it. You could decide, we're only gonna look at new things, we're leaving everything as is, but you do have a retailer who brought up, I would like you to go to the other cap. If you go to the other cap, you're still maxed out and there's no permit available because you have 6 permits, and if you change it from a retiring cap to a simple cap, you still have no permits until somebody else goes out of business. So we're recommending to leave it as is because it's unfortunate. But you guys have also denied other retail, I don't know how many, but Carla might be able.
Are you there, Carla? Carla?
Oh,
I'm here.
Okay,
Okay, so Carla, I don't know how many, but can you just confirm that over the years, retailers have come forward and asked for a permit, but because of the retiring cap, we've told previous applicants there's no permit available?
That is correct.
Okay, so, to make a concession for this one, it would open up a can of worms for the other ones that have previously applied and opened their businesses somewhere else. And the density strategy has worked, so we would rather have you keep it. Our recommendation would be keeping it in. However, if you're inclined to want to go back, pull back on that, we'll get the wordings here. Whatever changes you want to make, whether it's existing or not, the only changes you can't make are on the state law components,
Mhm.
because that's already enforced.
Stipulated.
Yeah. And we have a good relationship with the towns and retailers for the most part, and we haven't had any significant recent non-compliance.
well, it's food for thought for when we discuss the stuff we wanna do again. Might even be at the next meeting, we'll see what happens as far as this time goes
Yeah,
on.
I will get you, more information, like I can, for the next meeting that this is on the agenda, I can send ahead of time more information on it. I think one of the things is you're looking at like what might work in a Brookline and a Bellingham might work out there, but there might be a little more controversy or pushback here.
Yeah.
And I just want to prepare you for that a little bit, and I do know like the vape industry is very aware that these towns have, but they're waiting for like a Worcester, Springfield, or Boston, or a bigger community to do it. Because if they want their bang for the buck, if they're gonna challenge it, so it is something that could be challenged. Now, let's just say you put it in your draft and we're gonna move forward with the restriction of vape sale. You would hold another hearing for that, because that's not in this current draft, and your retailers may come for that, and they may bring somebody, may bring an attorney. And then you could decide not to include it in your draft, or if you decide to move forward, and let's just say there's a challenge on it, because of the severability clause, it doesn't prevent everything else from moving forward.
Okay.
You have severability clauses in these regulations, so.
I'm gonna recommend to the board that we have a discussion on this at our next meeting. Because I think it's gonna be a big thing, because if we could stop the sales of this stuff starting in Townsend, it's gonna limit the access the children have to these vape tools. And limiting the access is a start. It's not gonna cure the problem, but it's a start. Because if they can't get it, they're not as likely to be able to do it.
Yeah, a lot of the kids that start at a young age, they don't have cars to drive to the next town or drive over somewhere else to get it. I just, like I said, it's not in the state draft. 9 communities have done it, 8 or 9. I think, I wanna say it's 9, but I'm positive it's at least 8. And I know Blackstone did it, and we've had, like, none of those businesses, nobody went out of business when Blackstone put it in place. And Blackstone does their own inspections, so every time the food inspector's in there, she checks their tobacco, plus we do our tobacco inspections. And they implemented that when they didn't have funding, so they went in, the agent themselves, their own paid agent went in and they fined retailers for it. without a tobacco control assistant. So they were happy we were here to help them
Yeah,
kind of take that
yeah.
over, but
I'm a firm believer that we gotta cut the source off to eliminate these kids from getting it to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
We can't beat the system, but we can assist in slowing it
yeah,
down.
and for Blackstone, we've issued one ticket on selling vape, and we didn't use the local $300 fine, we used the state $1,000 fine because it was a flavored THC vape. And it had well over the 3%, so it was a completely illegal product, we turned it over to Cannabis Control. The violation after we were done with it to Cannabis Control, I don't know if there was ever, and then we never saw it ever again. So since 2020, we've only issued one, you know, I mean, it was a solid violation, and it was in a hidden spot in the store, it wasn't out on the shelf. Oh, I didn't know I couldn't sell this, so.
Yeah, wow. Wow, very good, nice job. Nice job, any questions?
I only have a comment that, I understand by Mr. Chairman, of limiting the kids onto that. But I wonder if that's gonna make more impact in the schools in the sense that, I don't know, hiring people, someone who can get this, because here in Townsend, they wouldn't have access to that.
It's an illegal substance once that's done, and people are always gonna find a way to get it, but if we can minimize how much of it is being delivered to the teenagers, we've accomplished our mission. We can't prevent it, but we can slow it down.
Yeah.
And slowing it down could save a life. And these kids just don't have the proper education, so as the adults in the Board of Health, we have to take and do the motions necessary to protect these children. We may not ever win the entirety, but if we can slow down by a percentage, let's say it's a third or whatever, half, something, it's better than nothing. Better than nothing, so.
And I think you guys this town has been progressive in their regulations from, you know, because you were funded back in 1994 and you had your own tobacco control program, and then there was a period where the funding got cut. And then I picked you up in 2008. So there was a gap in there, because you used to have Donna Jewett, who used to be your tobacco agent, and she was you were 14 towns at the time. There's more in the Neshoba. I think there's 19 now. No.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, so there's more in your Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. So
Right.
you guys were funded for many years, and we were sister programs. My program was a sister program, and then she lost her funding. Our funding got scalped to bare minimum, and then more funding became available, and I was able to pick you up and have the Neshoba towns join me in 2008. So I've been working with you guys since 2008.
Mhm.
I think there was like a 5-year gap where you had no
Could
funding.
have been, I vaguely
Yeah.
remember that, I was around at that time also, but I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly how that happened.
So you've always been, you know, fair and you guys were the first to pass. There was a new initiative, the retailer density, no retailer could sell 500 feet, no new retailer 500 feet. It caught on and multiple towns did it. But you guys were the first in the state to pass that because the draft came out and I said, it's brand new. I don't have too many people that have done it yet. And you went, okay, let's do it. And that was you guys were one of the first to do the retail density.
So we do a good job here.
Okay.
Good. Any other questions for John? If that's it, I think we'd ask of you to come back with some regs for us for the stopping and prevention and sales of vaping products when we have our next meeting. Is that something you can handle?
Yes, so you close the hearing and then I'll come back for your next agenda. Carla will let me know when the meeting is and
Okay.
the agenda time. And then I would say like to go over the reg, I would like all of you questions would be answered. Do you have any questions on the reg? Okay, let's go over section 1 through 15, the top cover sheet. You tell me what you want in the reg and then I answer any questions you may have. And then you vote on whatever you're gonna add.
Yeah.
If you're leaving stuff the same, you don't have to vote on that. You only have to vote on what you wanna add.
I'd like to ask the board if they're willing to have Joan assist us in making these new regs up before we finalize and sign these tobacco
I
regulations.
think with her assistance, because she's the more knowledgeable on
Correct.
these matters, and I think
Correct.
that having her as an asset to the Board of Health to guide us on this,
Correct.
it'll be very important.
We would have to give the people that still have the tobacco permits the time to be able to sell down their stock to get rid of them when we decide that we're not gonna allow it to be sold anymore in Townsend. So it's gonna be a stage project.
So the next meeting won't be a public hearing. The next meeting will be a public agenda item where we will discuss all the good, bad, and ugly of if you want to take on banning vape and what that could mean. If you decide you want to add that to the draft, that would be our first discussion, because there's no point on, we're gonna change the draft, we're gonna go back to a public hearing. It just, we got
Yes.
plenty of time.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to prohibit the vape, I might ask a few of the surrounding towns, are you interested in doing the same thing too? Because when you're doing it in numbers, it helps.
And that's a great idea.
So if we could get,
Ashley and Pepperell, the kids can get it. If we ban it here in Townsend, Ashby and Pepperell all go to the same high school.
yeah,
So, yeah, it
Yeah.
would kind of defeat the purpose that we were the only ones.
yeah,
But they might pick up on it also. If we initiate this new trend because of the harm it's causing our children in school and the fact that the authoritative members of the schools can't do their job completely because they're still getting away with vaping in the bathrooms. And if we can cut off the source of the vaping, we're gonna help cut down all the problems these kids are gonna have as they grow older.
yeah,
So, And it's gonna be a process. It can happen.
banning vape altogether is a little more spicy and a little more controversial. So I will probably, see if I could get Cheryl Sabara or Lisa Goodnight out here too, to like kind of guide us.
So we're not just
Yeah.
talking banning the sale, we're talking about altogether banning vape.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
he's proposing.
Yeah, that's what he-
Like, so you ban the vape product for sale in your community.
Okay.
So the pouches, the recommendation is to restrict them to adult only. That's in the model draft.
Mhm.
However, your local reg for years has had a restrictor, so in a sense, you're banning it. But you're not using the language, it's prohibited, you're saying only allowed in adult only. However, this portion of the reg restrict, you have a retiring cap. Cause the model reg doesn't take in consideration if you already have a retiring cap. So you'd be banning two things from a retail environment, the pouches, and you would be, the pouches have really exploded in the last 8 months. It's not like gas, lottery, and Marlboro, that's the cornerstone for decades of a convenience store, but it is an item that's exploded. And vape's been on the market for a long time, but all of this vape that's flooding in, and we don't know if it's legal or not, we don't know if it's flavored or not, we don't know if the letter's legal or not. It's really exploded from this much behind the shelf space, this much behind the shelf space. And it's really a lot of resources and time. So we want retailers, manufacturers, and distributors, you prove to us your product's legal instead of me hunting down and trying to prove it's
There
illegal,
you go.
is how we're looking at it. But, the FDA has a task force right now. Jewel just had a major win in federal court. So I don't know, because the other 9 towns haven't been challenged, the more towns that do it might alert them to challenge. I'm not deterring you from it. I just want to give you the good, bad, and ugly if you're gonna decide to put it in your reg.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you can put it in the draft, go to public hearing, and if it shakes out, attorneys coming here, and then we take a look with your town council or whatever, you can always pull it out.
Mhm.
All right.
He's gotta start.
You're not
somewhere.
committing to anything, you're committing to looking at it.
Yeah,
It's gotta start somewhere if you're gonna be able to make it happen. We gotta remember that this is to benefit the children, to get it away from them the best that we can.
Right,
Because they're all making mistakes trying this stuff on a dare. They don't have enough education to realize it's not good for them, and it's gonna cause long-term damage.
yeah.
And,
Because
It's addictive, and
Well-
it's addictive once you.
And it doesn't matter what the vehicle is, it's nicotine. Nicotine is as addictive as heroin. And it doesn't matter the vehicle, you're getting that nicotine into your body.
Yeah. And they're
it
using
takes-
vape for marijuana also.
Yeah,
And when you take these bubbles and inhale them the depth that they do to get the high from the marijuana, it's almost worse than just doing a tobacco product. It's a double
yeah.
indent
Those
in there.
studies show that you don't have to have within, up to 3 uses, you can become addicted to the nicotine. In some cases, so you don't have to, when I have a 15-year-old tell me that they're addicted, they really are, and some people,
Yeah.
you're so young, you're not addicted, you could quit, they really are, especially since, you know, the nicotine hits their brain differently because their brain isn't fully developed yet,
Yeah.
you know, so,
Right.
okay, I appreciate it, if there's any other questions.
I'm good for now
I'm good.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll handle this the next time, talk to Carla, get things squared away, and if you need to call me, you got my number.
Okay. Did two more people pop into the Zoom?
Rick Metcalf and Carla Walter, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I just saw, okay, no, all right, it's me.
You still there,
It's me.
Carla?
I didn't, I gotta get my glasses, so it's right.
Yeah. Carla, you still there? Carla?
That's all right. So I'm all set and then,
You're all set.
I'll be back on your next available agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you
I'm
very
here.
much.
Oh,
I'm here.
okay. Gotcha. Scared me.
Did you
Where-
follow all
I
that,
don't-
Carla?
I did. I got all of it.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
Okay, thank you.
All right, John.
See you, Rick.
Thank you.
Yep. It was a pleasure talking to you today. Rick.
Thank you so much. It was, thank
All
you.
Okay, I like that, guys. That was good.
Yep.
Set the commit for review, that's done.
You
Upgrade,
can probably
that,
say goodbye to Rick now.
yeah, is Rick still there? Rick, are you there?
Nope, he left.
Okay, he's done. All right. Country Estates, I didn't get to talk to him about Country Estate pool variance. Ooh.
I think you're looking at a different agenda, Jim.
It's a continued for September 10th.
This is Tuesday, August 27th, and it's 1.5 Country Estates condominium pool variance.
But it-
That's the one they had shut down, they reopened, and they're supposed to put a drain in the middle of it, Carla?
Yes, but that shouldn't be on the agenda now. Are you looking at the minutes of the meeting that you should be approving on July 23rd?
Jim? What if I get the wrong paper, Big Deal? Oh, I think I have, no, 35 Adams, Copper Smith Way, subject to
That's-
tobacco. Okay, I did have the wrong one, Carla, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. That's the minutes that is on your agenda to approve. And I wanted to make sure that you had that minutes because those were from the previous tobacco hearing. So if you had to go back to
And
see
signed
what you had done
already.
at your last meeting.
I'll initial this right now, so you know it's good to go, and I'll get it out of my way. Okay, that's done now. Okay, we got some bills to sign here. Manila management fund, somebody want to continue that for the next meeting,
That's for 10 meeting, yep.
make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to talk about the Country Estates condominium pool variance update and the manure management plan on 188 Fishwood Road.
Okay, get a second on that,
I second it.
all in favor?
I,
Okay, we move that to the next one, food truck fee discussion. Oh boy, Kyle, where do we go with that one?
Jim, I think you're on the wrong agenda. I think you're looking at, if you turn it, you're looking at the minutes from July 23rd.
yeah, that's this page here, which
Yeah.
just from July 20th.
Okay. Go back to your agenda for August 27th. And you continue the
Right here.
That's so good. What do you got
do you
there?
have it,
It's-
Christian?
I have it.
There's
What?
several copies in that room.
Yeah, the one your hand is on is the same as the one he just handed you.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So that 1.5 is still Country Estates condominiums, Kyle. I don't know. what
All the way
happened.
to the right, it does say already continued to September.
Yeah,
10th.
Yeah,
Continued to September 10th. So it's
okay, that's already done.
It's already been done.
Okay. So now we're going to invoices and minutes. I just did the minutes, so you guys haven't got to worry about that. And now we get the invoices here.
Should have an invoice for Neshoba, their quarterly assessments, which is a contract price. There's an invoice for disposal of the Sharps kiosk, which is becoming very busy again. And there's an AT&T bill for my cell phone.
Okay, I got the AT&T bill here for 45.19.
Yes.
Okay, we'll sign that one first. And then the next one I got is Advo Waste.
That's the needle kiosk. That's for the disposal of the sharps needles that we have in the town hall now.
$55. That's the only, or then I got one more for nursing services, okay.
And that's the Neshoba Board of Health quarterly
And then we
contract.
just need him to sign, right, Carla?
Absolutely.
All right.
And then you have the minutes there from July 23rd. You do not
Yeah,
need
I'm ready next to
motion.
those. Yeah,
Heading on
and
to,
this,
I'm sorry,
I'm reading this thing, the total of that invoice is $12,275.33.
that's correct.
Okay. How's your hip doing?
I'm not moving. I muted myself because earlier I went to move my leg and I went, oh, and I saw everyone in there kind of look around like,
Yeah.
what was that? So that's when I said I need to mute.
Okay, I think we're all set, Carla. I think I'm to the end of everything.
Okay, recycling center update.
Well, yeah, you can give us that now.
Okay, the gate is being cleared tomorrow. They're coming in Thursday at 8 a.m. and there is no barbed wire on it. We were able to change that.
Oh, good,
Good.
good. That would have made it look like
The
a
highway,
prison.
I met with Highway today and we went specifically over where the gate is going, where they need to level the ground out, what shrubs need to be removed. We're gonna put 2 Jersey barriers up for extra security for the 24 hours that there could be issues right at Sean Tossie's entrance.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. We're all set with that one? We're set with the.
Yes.
All right, now we got the interesting one, curb trash feed this discussion. I'm gonna take the floor on this one to start with you guys, and we've had the trash feed. We've had the trash since the trash contract started. The Board of Health has maintained all the negotiations and all the stuff, made all the payments, done everything that we were supposed to do the way we were supposed to do it properly. For the select board to say that they're going to go with pay as you throw and there's already a contract for the curbside to be picked up as it is, they're double dipping on our taxpayers. They're doing this at their own free will and accord, and I don't believe they got the right to do it without having a joint meeting with us. And I feel they should come to our meeting. We don't have to go to theirs, because we've handled the trash contract from day one. That's my opinion. Any discussion?
I mean, from the town hall meeting that we had, the town voted that they didn't want to approve another increase, another burden on the taxpayers' monies here in the town of Townsend. And now we have the select board wanting to go over what the people said. This doesn't look like a democracy. This is just like communism, and that is not right.
No.
That is not right.
No.
And the people cannot do it with having another charge on the trash. I'm not in agreement to what they're doing, and I think that we, as the Board of Health, we should maintain our position that we should not favor this curbside trash fee that they want to propose. I think that the most prudent thing could be is that both boards meet together, jointly discuss the pros and cons, and have a voting as a body. That's how it should be.
Paul, you have
I
to say?
second that. Yeah, I agree with
Have
that.
you got any opinion you wanna voice?
I'm not gonna make a comment.
Okay.
I support both of what you both said.
Okay,
Yes.
have you got that, Carla? Carla?
Yep, I did. Just trying to save you my ahs and ohs.
Okay, so where else should we go with that one? We just wanna say that's it, we're not approving what the selectmen are doing and we're gonna stand firm?
Well, we don't really know what the selectmen are doing. I received an email from Ross, I believe. You were not copied on it, Jim, but I believe Paul and Chris were. That
Yep,
said that
I
the
was
Board of
copied on-
Selectmen have decided to go with a pay-as-you-throw program.
Okay,
So now they want to go pay-as-you-throw. And they're
Well-
gonna be sending you a letter, from what I understand. They're discussing it probably right now as we're talking about it. They're talking about it too. The agenda item says that they're gonna be sending you a letter regarding the trash fee. So I can only assume that they're gonna tell you that they've decided to go as pay-as-you-throw and they would like your support.
okay, well, I don't think they're gonna get our support.
No.
And that's not gonna happen. We will not be favorable of that because what they're doing is wrong. They dug a hole that they can't get out of and it's not. The Board of Health has done a good job with this. We've always maintained it. And they're just gonna step right over our toes and take over and tell us what to do, and that's so wrong. So wrong, so. I believe that there's no reason for anything to go further with that. We're in disagreement with the select people and we're not in favor of it in any fashion, so.
Yes.
I think that's the answer there, Carla, so. Cindy just came in with a camera. She wants all our smiling faces.
Oh, could you please ask her if the selectmen's meeting is over? Because I was gonna jump on that if they didn't discuss. the
Is it
trash.
done?
It's all done.
Yeah,
If you'd like an update, I'll give it to you.
Please,
yeah. Cindy's gonna give us an update.
Okay, let me get,
thank you.
you like my sign?
I do.
I think they purposely blocked the sign with the way they sat, so that wouldn't show, but oh well. Yeah, so I went to the selectmen's meeting and they. I guess they're gonna go with pay as you throw. So they made some comments about you guys, that they had sent many letters and they got another letter that they're sending to you. They read it. Chaz read it in the meeting. If the town gets, these guys get the video up quickly, you can hear the letter before you get it tonight, or my video will be up from their meeting tonight as well. So whichever one gets it up first. Sometimes it's a contest, but anyway, they basically want to involve you, talk to the board. They've invited you to engage with this working group to implement the pay as you throw. Apparently, they've talked to Shaw's, and they're gonna have, I'm going by memory, so I apologize. Don't count me as the official answer, okay? I'm just kind of trying to remember everything. But they've talked to Shaw's and they need about 2 weeks' notice to convert so that they can tell the drivers that we're.
So they're gonna implement this right away.
Right away. Oh, they have,
They got a trash contract already signed with Shaw's.
okay. Let me, but what they said, when they talked to Shaw's, and Shaw's can implement it within the contract. And that's not a problem for them, to just let the drivers know that they're only gonna be picking up bags and no barrels. Except, I think they're still a little confused about recycling, but it doesn't sound like they really, but recycling. Everything I've read about recycling and pay as you throw programs is you still have the barrel with recycling. And you can get the inlet, and I think Shaw's has said before, it's still free in the
They're
contract.
not letting the public have any say in this whatsoever.
Wait, they are. They are gonna have a public forum. They haven't scheduled it. They're gonna be scheduling a public forum where we'll be in the meeting hall and the public can come in and ask questions and.
I want to make one comment because I was on that email chain that they were sending for the committee. And I only mentioned to the committee that if that meeting should take place out of business hours, because I'm a social worker and I have my own employment and I am a public servant here. And if I wanted to participate, it should be at some point, some fairness to allow at least a member, because I was not declining whatsoever. I mentioned that it has to be as the time that we have our Board of Health meetings on Tuesdays after 6 or something like that. So that is why I did wrote on that email that unfortunately, if it is not doing out of business hours, I just can't participate, and I wish to participate, even though I am against the actions of the selectmen, so.
Yeah, it sounds like what they at least said at the meetings, that they're sending a letter, and I guess if the chair or somebody contacts the board, and it's just my observation, I'm not necessarily giving you advice, because I don't have, I'm a member of the public here,
Well.
I'm not engaged, I'm not involved with all this, I'm not an official at all. But just from my observation, engage with somebody in the selectman's office and maybe set up something. They don't have another, I just,
Cindy, I'm
I
just
know.
shaking my head in disgust because what they're doing is
Okay.
so wrong,
but
so wrong.
there's a lot.
Mr.
the way it
Chairman?
costs-
Yes,
Oh, good, you can hear me. When you have a minute, I have some comments I'd like to address to Cindy's comments.
okay,
Yeah, I'm not, at this point, it sounds like they're going with the pay-as-you-throw, which it sounds like a lot of residents are in agreement with, certainly as opposed to the plan that they had. They've changed their whole tune from the last meeting, which was a lot of anger towards anybody that was talking about pay-as-you-throw. But now address this, better, and that sounds like they want to go with it. It's still not, they still don't have the full implementation plan, but this is, and
taxpayers are already paying for trash pickup in their taxes. This is double dipping.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Yeah, let Carla go.
Yeah, I think Carla will probably
Right, Carla.
address.
So my big concern is, and pay as you throw is a successful program for some towns. I feel that we're rushing into it to quick solve a problem. I think it could be successful, in my opinion, if it's thought out and planned correctly. The town has entered into a contract where they are spending $68,500 a month for Shaw's. If you go pay as you throw, they expect to have the trash reduced by 30%. You're still going to end up paying Shaw's $68,500 because you entered into a contract. So when they say that Shaw's it will do it, Shaw's, of course they're going to do it. They're going to pick up a third less of the trash and we're going to pay them for it. So the contract needs to be redone. If you go pay as you throw, the contract needs to be redone. That's my opinion.
Very good, Carla. You're 100% on too. 100%.
And that's probably, as a member of the public, that's probably, if that is a doable thing. But just as a member of the public, you guys need to talk to the Board of Selectmen about doing that. The
Well, does
contract
Board
is
of
yours.
Selectmen have to talk to us.
But, okay,
We've
I know,
run this since the day one.
I
We've
agree.
always been in charge of this contract and
I
they
know.
take it right away from us.
I know.
Take it right away from us.
They want the
That is
revenue.
so wrong.
They want the revenue. And it's kind of a complex thing. It's become quite a political nightmare, I think, for everybody involved. But it sounds like, I'm trying to be a kind of a mediator as well, even though I'm not necessarily in that role right now. But I think at this point, somebody needs to, I agree, the selectmen it doesn't appear as a member of the public, the selectmen have been forthcoming and working with you guys to develop a solid waste management plan. And that's just it's just my personal feelings, and that's how that is. But at some point, and I think maybe we're there, that there might be an opportunity that somebody gives, even though, thing with solving problems, and you're a social worker, you deal with this every day, that sometimes you gotta give when you don't want to. And just putting your foot out and saying, okay, or putting a hand out and saying, I want to talk, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the chair. It can-
Negotiation with the Board of Health would have been much more
It-
properly done and it never happened.
But it didn't, but now we're at
Yeah.
a point that maybe you guys can move forward in a workable solution to the problems that both the Board of Selectmen are having, which is not solid waste management, it's financial. and your role is solid waste management, maybe you can meet. in the middle.
All their bad decisions that are biting them right now.
I know that,
They're
I agree with
blaming
you.
it on everybody right now. They're blaming on the Board of Health. The Board of Health didn't do this. They did this.
And we're here.
I agree with
We
you.
are here in defense of our constituents, and the thing is that I live in Townsend, and I know for a fact that I cannot bear another taxation, another imposition of this,
And,
because probably I have to go and do other side jobs in order to get the funds that even the town is requiring me to do.
and I agree that's concerns that a lot of residents have at this point. I know, I mean, Jim knows, and I think maybe all three of you know that I've been really, I'm the queen of the sign, you know? That I've really been
Yeah.
at this, and I've been studying the issue and talking to people and making my videos, and I do understand the issues. I've paid attention. I don't wanna claim to know more than anybody else, but I know a lot, but I think that the selectmen don't have, I don't know everything they know or what they're planning, but I know that the meeting I just attended, they're getting to the point, they're talking to people outside, which they needed to do. And they've stated that they've gone back and talked to Irene, and they've talked to this Waste Zero company who does your bags, and they're working towards a public forum, and they're working towards an implementation plan. They didn't say October 1st today, but I know that's the date that they were looking at before, and it makes sense based on where we are, that they're gonna quickly get a public forum out, which getting the information out on that is the tough one. And I'll help with that, and everybody, they're gonna be working with social media too. But then they need to give Shaw's 2 weeks notice to kick it off. It's doable for them to kick it off for October 1st. I know hundreds of residents aren't gonna get the word.
Yeah. Anyway, Cindy, I'm
But
gonna ask
that's-
if we can cut this short right
Yes,
now.
I think that's a good, because
Yeah.
it's
We'll-
moving out.
Sure, we're gonna
between-
adjourn our
wait.
meeting here. and
Yes,
we're
yeah.
gonna Go on.
Yeah, and it's on your agenda, so we're good.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
But I'm gonna stay in if you don't mind, well, even if you do mind, I'm gonna continue to record this
Yeah.
your meeting.
I just like.
Sorry I couldn't
Carla-
be here at the beginning.
Yeah, Carla, we're all done, right? We get everything squared away?
You are all done. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I just want to make one thing clear, that the town administrator has stated on numerous occasions that if you go pay as you throw, the town allocated the overflow bag money to go to the recycling center. That is approximately $10,000 to $15,000 a year. He has said, well, we'll just do a transfer at the end of the year. I really would highly suggest the contract, some type of a contract be written with the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Health going forward, because the selectmen change every year, and they might agree with it this year, but I'm worried 2 years down the road, someone's going to decide, oh, you don't get that money. And it's crucial for the recycling center to remain open.
Okay, Carla, that's a very, very good suggestion. I'm gonna follow through with that with you. So we'll make that happen for our next meeting. If you're all done, I'm gonna ask for an adjournment.
I propose a motion for adjournment of the Board of Health meeting.
Okay, can I get a second on
I
that?
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're all done, Carla. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you.